what is going on with gold and silver, I wanted to take a look at GLD stock and SLV stock. I actually play these frequently. With higher interest rates, you should see both of these metals move slightly lower. But GLD stock, of course, has moved higher because of tensions in Middle East. Will the Middle East tension settle down? And if so, does GLD stock and maybe SLV stock move lower? They've been kind of misaligned over the past several years. Nonetheless, they do have their own purpose. And within an economy and higher interest rates, likely both of these metals would move lower if interest rates remain higher for longer. Carrying costs, effectively. You're sitting on metal and storage costs are expensive. With higher interest rates, it gets even more expensive. Because of that, these metals may dip in value. Let's jump in. We'll take a look at GLD stock and SLV stock and get a breakdown of what could happen next. Before we get started, this is a breakaway channel that I have from my original channel, Cannabis Stocks Analysis. If you're looking for this kind of content, which is broadly just the stock market across the board and the things that are affected by the stock market and affect the stock market, make sure you hit that like and follow button down below. Also follow the links to inside the description to my other channels and my website, dhtayloranalysis.com, where you can get the free email. Every time I send out content, I let you know what I did for the day. Here we are looking at, this is the GLD stock. Now, I don't know if I've ever admitted this on video, but yes, I'm one of those guys who literally buys silver coins, buries them in the backyard. I'm just one of those guys that think one day it's going to be done. And given what our government's doing with all the monopoly money, what's wrong with buying coins on a weekly basis? You know, a couple, maybe 10 coins a week, whatever it might be. And so I stack up a bunch of silver coins. So I follow these very regularly. I'm very sensitive to the price. Like, oh, I think I can get them for this price. I wonder what I can get them for on Friday, whatever it might be. So I follow these ETFs religiously. And it's a good way to also, one thing that I like to do is I sell options all the time. 1, 2, 3 months out. When we get a big move and I think it's in the wrong direction, I'll sell calls or I'll sell put on GLD stock or SLV stock simply to bring in more premium by selling those options with the expectation that they expire worthless. Because of that, it gives me the ability to bring in a couple extra bucks to buy more coins. It's sort of like a pyramid scheme. Here we're looking at, you can see GLD stock moving higher significantly. If you look at this chart, you can see when the war broke out between Israel and Hamas. There was a big move higher. Prior to that, you can see when the Federal Reserve said, yeah, we're really nervous about inflation and we're probably going to push interest rates a little higher for a little longer. So you saw that move downward from the Federal Reserve. Then you saw the move higher with what's going on with Hamas or Israel and the war there. Here's a look at silver SLV stock, and as you can see, it kind of followed suit, went downwards, then went right back upwards. Now it's kind of leveling out, sitting right around 20 bucks, 20 and 3/4, we'll call it. What happens next with these two stocks? That all depends on, here's the 10-year. The 10-year looks like it definitely wants to go much higher for much longer. We get more inflation data coming in on Friday. This week, we do get GDP data tomorrow morning, Thursday, and I expect it'll probably come in roughly in line with wherever we might get some kind of surprise in there. And that could tell us that, yes, we already know the economy is robust. And because of that, the Federal Reserve is going to have to raise interest rates slightly more, maybe 25 basis points, maybe 50 basis points, maybe 75 basis points, so they can contract consumption a little more. What if there's a surprise to the upside even further with GDP? That would pressure bond yields further higher. Stocks took it today because of bond yields. So if GDP comes in quite firm and there's a surprise to the upside, that would be a continuation of the thesis. Simultaneously, PCE index, which is personal income and personal expenditures, we get on Friday. The BEA puts that out. It's my favorite data point to look at. likely we will see that the pressures for inflation is still pushing higher. This is going to force the Federal Reserve to push interest rates. In an environment like that, both GLD stock and SLV stock would see prices decline. The rationale is higher interest rates means higher carrying costs. Higher carrying costs means you got to sell that at a discount to get someone to entice to buy these coins, like me. Given that, I'm looking at what's likely to happen. We should see the 10-year push through 5% over the course of the next couple weeks. Next Friday, of course, we get unemployment rate. This would easily push the 10-year above 5% if it's as robust as last month. That would really spook the markets. That's next Friday. So you get kind of a combination: GDP, inflation, employment, all three within 8-day period of time. 10-year yield could push right through 5%. That would push GLD stock and SLV stock much lower, regardless of what's going on in the Middle East. It looks like the Middle East, what's going on out there, is probably going to settle down somewhat. I should say, probably not spill over, although I bet it could be ignited a little further if, say, Iran starts pumping a lot of supplies into Hamas. We'll see. Nonetheless, that's obviously a hot point, and it did have an effect on GLD stock pushing higher and SLV stock pushing higher. Let's see where it goes from there. In the meantime, I'm looking for higher interest rates because inflation and the economy is still popping forward. Beyond that, I'm looking for these metals to settle down and move lower because of that. And I'll be buying more. Make sure you hit that like and follow button. I follow these two ETFs all the time, GLD stock and SLV stock, as I mentioned. I buy a lot of silver coins and I stack them up and I bury them in the woods. I literally do. And I also do ETH. Make sure you hit that like and follow button. Follow the links down below to get to my other channels, as well my email on the website, dhtaileranalysis.com. You can get that free email, and every time I do content, you can pick and choose what you want to watch for the day. See you in the next video.